Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely informed fast. Today, we're tackling a topic that, understandably, causes a lot of concern: sudden cardiac arrest in young people. It hits close to home for many. But, and this is important, the story isn't all bleak. Actually, quite the opposite. Our sources show some really encouraging progress. So our mission today, to really unpack what's going on with youth sudden cardiac arrest, the causes, the prevention strategies that are working, and the real strides being made.
Absolutely. And the progress is the big story here, I think. When you look at the data over the last, say, 20 years, well, the incidence of sudden cardiac death in young people have actually dropped significantly by nearly 50%.
Wow, 50%, that's huge.
It really is. And it's not just luck. It points to, real improvements in how we handle these things. We're getting better at spotting the risks earlier, and when an event does happen, survival rates from out-of-hospital arrests are improving too. Better diagnostics, faster response.
Yeah.
It all adds up.
That 50% figure is definitely reassuring. But, okay, let's back up a bit. When we talk about sudden cardiac arrests in younger people under 35, what are we actually seeing? What are the main reasons this happens?
Right. Well, the leading cause responsible for maybe 35 to 50% of these cases is something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, HCM for short. It's a genetic condition. Basically, the heart muscle gets too thick, which makes it harder for the heart to pump blood effectively. And the tricky thing is it affects about 1 in 500 people, but many don't even know they have it.
1 in 500. That's surprisingly common.
It is. Beyond HCM, you also see other conditions, like arrhythmogenic, right ventricular cardiomyopathy, or ARVC. That's where the heart muscle tissue gets replaced by scar tissue and fat, leading to arrhythmias. And you have inherited arrhythmia syndromes. These aren't structural problems necessarily, but issues with the heart's electrical system, like long QT syndrome, Brugada syndrome, things that mess with the heart rhythm. We also see, less commonly, coronary artery anomalies, basically, the heart's plumbing being different from birth. And then very rarely, maybe fewer than 30 cases a year, there's commotio cordis. That's cardiac arrest, triggered by a sudden blunt impact to the chest.
Okay, so it can be the muscle itself, electrical signals, the structure, a few different pathways. You mentioned genetics with HCM, and that seems to be an emerging focus.
Yes, definitely. Genetics are a really big piece of this puzzle. We think up to 20% of sudden cardiac deaths in young individuals might be linked to inherited factors. And what's interesting is that about 2% of the general population might carry genetic variants that predispose them.
2%?
Yeah. And research is also showing specific patterns. For instance, there's data suggesting South Asian populations have a higher prevalence of certain variants, like a specific deletion in a gene called MYBPC3 linked to HCM. It really underscores why, a one-size-fits-all approach might not be enough. We need to think about tailored screening.
That makes sense. So if we know about these underlying conditions, some genetic, some structural, that brings us to prevention, can we actually stop these events before they happen? What's working?
This is where it gets really interesting. The standout example is probably the Italian screening model. Italy mandated cardiovascular screening for young athletes back in 1971. It involves a history, physical exam, and an ECG.
Mandatory screening since the 70s.
Exactly. And the results? Pretty staggering. One major study looked at over 22,000 kids over 11 years. They found an 89% decline in sudden cardiac deaths among athletes since the screening started. Just 0.6 events per 100,000 athletes per year in that study cohort.
89%. That's incredible. It really shows what proactive public health can do.
It does. And it's proven to be cost-effective, too. Pairing the ECG with the history and physical costs, around $76,100 per life year saved. Plus, international guidelines have evolved, helping to bring down false positive rates from ECGs to about 3%, which was an earlier concern.
Okay, that Italian model sounds powerful. So let's talk about athletes specifically for a moment, because their risk often comes up in these discussions. What's the takeaway for them?
It's true. Athletes do have a higher risk. Studies suggest maybe 2.5 to 3.6 times higher than non-athletes. And yes, over 90% of sudden cardiac deaths in young athletes happen during or right after physical activity. But, and this is crucial for the vast majority of people, the health benefits of regular exercise far outweigh these risks. The message isn't don't exercise, it's be aware.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, so boiling it down for you, our listener, what are the practical steps? What should people be aware of or prepared for?
Two key things, really. First, emergency preparedness is critical. Having immediate access to automated external defibrillators, AEDs, and people trained in CPR nearby makes a massive difference in survival rates. Schools, sports fields, anywhere young people gather. Second, know the warning signs. Things like chest pain during exercise, unexplained fainting or near fainting, especially during or after activity. Also, excessive or unusual shortness of breath during exercise, a family history of sudden, unexplained death in someone under 50, or knowing you or a family member has an inherited heart condition. Any of those warrant a conversation with a doctor.
That's very clear. So we've covered a lot, the why behind these events, the really hopeful progress in prevention, like that Italian model and what you need to look out for. It feels like a story of significant advancement, but also continued vigilance.
Exactly. And it really leaves us with a compelling thought, doesn't it? If these proactive, comprehensive screening models, like Italy's, have achieved such dramatic results, well, what does that mean for public health strategies in other parts of the world? And how can our growing understanding of genetic predispositions help us refine those strategies even further to better protect young lives?